everyone, it's Mary Ellen, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things related to the storytelling industry. If you don't already know me, I write nonfiction under my real name, Mary Ellen Quigley, and romance under my pen name, M.E. Laverne. And I'm laughing because there are college kids outside the front of my car that are laughing at me. Hey, kids. The one guy's posing. As you can see, I'm in my car. So I went on an adventure today and I decided to take you guys along with me. And my adventure was that, I'm really sad that I did not get to go to my sister's house and do the books by the banks, on the banks, whatever the heck it's called. But I was like, you know what? I got my car back today. Let's go do something bookish. So I got on the Google last night and I was like, if I get my car back, this is what I'm doing tomorrow. So I ended up looking up some independently small owned bookstores in my area. I was like, I'm curious how many small tiny bookstores are in my area, and I gave myself a 2-hour radius. And I was like, if it's within 2 hours of my house, I will check it out. Now, I would like to do part 2 of this because honestly, there were so many bookstores and my wallet determined that going to that many bookstores was not a possibility. So I chose 3 bookstores. And I'm going to take you guys along with me and tell you about the stores and kind of give you some first impressions of what I think of them. So if you're interested, come on along. I will add the links below that tell you the name of the store, where it's located, all that stuff. And all the stores I'm visiting are in Northwest Indiana and specifically in Porter County, Indiana. I eventually would like to do Lake County and all the other counties, Lafayette, Indy. There's so many places in Indiana I love to highlight bookstores in. But you know what? I gave myself a budget of $100 and 2 hours driving time. So we'll see how this goes. Our first stop is a bookstore called the Bookworm, and this one is in a city called Wanatah, Indiana, and it is just east of Valpo. If you're in Valpo, it's maybe 10 minutes east, so let's go check it out. Okay, I just got done in the bookstore. I did take a few short videos because I wanted to make it not very noticeable that I was recording. So a couple things. It's just a small bookstore owned by an older couple. It looks like the woman was pretty up there. She was elderly, very, very sweet, very nice. The old man is super ready to help you find whatever book you're looking for. Only complaint I have is that it is so cluttered. I don't know if you can see from the video that I sent. Sorry, I'm gonna try to put you guys down here. It's so cluttered in there that you kind of have trouble getting around because there's books literally in every spot. I actually really do like the store. It is a lot of older books. This is a lot of books that just got donated to the store, so it's very much more the used book variety, which is totally fine. They do have a few new ones, but mostly used. If you're looking for unique versions of old classics, they had a whole section of hardback and leatherback or leather-bound classics. I think there were 20 versions of Gone with the Wind and, Pride and Prejudice and all that. So if you're wanting the classics in unique binding, this is the place to go for that. And they also have a dollar book section in the back, and they actually sell jewelry in here and antiques. So it's kind of like a thrift store / bookstore. But as you can tell, my only complaint I had was that there are so many books. I'm looking around, but there are so many books that it's actually overwhelming. And they do have them actually organized by topic, right? So they have just a fiction section, so it's just fiction. So if you're wanting romance, it's kind of mixed in with everything else. But they have history and local history and war books and sports and biographies. They have it all kind of organized to a certain extent. But as you can tell by the video, there are books stacked everywhere. So it was slightly overwhelming. I did end up spending $30 in the store. One of them was because I got a history book for the local history. I apologize for the sound of the bag. So the couple books I ended up getting, I limited myself because I have $100 for the entire day. So they had a J.R. Ward hardcover for $6. I am trying to get all of J.R. Ward's books in hardcover. I have a lot of her Black Dagger Brotherhood series. This sticker I'll be able to get off with Goo Gone, and it needs to be cleaned up. But this is a really good version, hardcover of her, what's it called, Black Dagger Legacy series. But that was only $6. The second book I got is the one I spent the most money on. This one was $24, but it's an old book. So this one is called Wolves Against the Moon. And you can see who the author is and all that. This book was actually written in hold up. I'm wanting to say it's like 1940 or something like that. Hold up. I'm going to look it up here. 1940. It was written in 1940. And this book is actually based on a book that was written in 1907 about the settlers to Northwest Indiana. So this is a fictional book, but it's based on, okay, backtracking. I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. So the Bailey Homestead in Northwest Indiana is an original homestead of like the first settlers that came to our area of Indiana. And there was a book written in 1907 about the history of the family that first settled, how their homestead and everything they built was what basically started our area of Indiana, Northwest Indiana. And this is a fictional book that she's written that kind of details. It's considered fictional because it's supposed to be detailing the life of the family that settled here, but because it's going on historical records and not actually interviewing the family, it's considered fictional. So it's kind of like historical fiction based on real fiction type of thing. And I've heard of this book, and I actually read parts of this book way back when I was younger. I was in like high school and I was doing history on the area, and I wanted to read the whole thing, but it's so old and it's actually like out of print. You can't buy this book anywhere. So unless you can find it in a thrift store, you can't buy it. So when I saw this, I was like, I need this because you cannot buy it anywhere. And the libraries, actually, the copies are so old that they don't really even rent them out anymore because they're just pretty beat up. So anyways, that would not interest anybody who's not from Northwest Indiana. Okay, so enough of that. I am going to head out to the next bookstore. This one's in Chesterton, so it's about 25 minutes from here. And this is an antique bookseller. And again, I'm limiting myself to a certain dollar amount today. So I don't know that I can buy. I mean, I already spent 30 bucks, but let's see how it goes. Now for our next stop on the list, we are at O'Gara and Wilson Antiquarian Booksellers in Chesterton, Indiana. And this bookstore has actually been around since 1882. It's one of the oldest bookstores, if not the oldest bookstore, in Northwest Indiana. And I've heard of this store before. I actually used to live up in Burns Harbor, and we used to come into Chesterton all the time for like shopping and grocery store. But I thought it was just antique books. I didn't realize it was just used books as well. So I'm excited to go in here and see what they have to offer. In the car again. Anyway, so final thoughts on the Chesterton bookstore. So first of all, it is exactly what you think it would be. When it says antiquarian, they mean antiquarian. So most of the books in here are hard to find rare copies of books. There's a lot of books that are really awesome. I mean, amazing collection in here. I actually really like this store. But it's definitely not the whole I've got 20 bucks, let me go buy a bag full of books kind of store. For example, I found a copy of Jane Eyre that was $145 because it was leather-bound, hand-painted special edition. This is the kind of books they sell in this store. It is still the coolest store I've ever been in. They do have like a dollar cart on the outside, which I kind of briefly showed you guys. It was like discounted. They have a dollar cart. They've got one that was like other prices, but all the discounted sale books are kind of out front. But they do have an amazing collection. I mean, I will say this is probably one of the coolest stores I've ever been in. It's just, I don't really have a lot of like special edition books that I would want to spend that kind of money on. But if you're looking to fill your home library with like really cool special edition classics, this would be the place to go. All right, off to the next one. Okay, last stop on our book tour is in downtown Valparaiso. This one's right on the Valpo Square, and it is called The Press. This is supposed to be just a regular bookstore, a modern bookstore, but just independently owned. So let's see what it looks like. I saved the best for last. Oh my God, I think I have found my new favorite bookstore. Now, I was not able to get very many clips in the store because it is so jam-packed with people that I really couldn't record without getting a bunch of people's face on camera. You guys, it is small, but it is mighty. Okay, first of all, wall-to-wall people in this store. It is so packed, it is insane. Keep in mind that this bookstore is only a few blocks away from Valparaiso University, so this is a college town. It was a younger crowd in there, but my goodness. So first of all, they sell coffee. They have a coffee shop, but they also sell wine. Coffee and wine. Every Thursday from like 6 to 7, they do silent book club. Silent book club is literally where everybody gets together and just reads. You know how on YouTube, people like the book talk people have where like you do the reading sprints together? This is what that is. Only you do it in person, which is freaking phenomenal. You just bring whatever you want to read and everybody sits and reads. Absolutely amazing. They also have multiple book clubs. So I'm going to show you about the book clubs. The first one they have is a romantasy book club. This one is once a month. You know I love romance. I don't read a lot of like fantasy, but I might be willing to check this out for future months. So for the month of December, they are doing The Nightmare Before Christmas by Sarah, is it Rash? I might be saying that wrong, but this is the book cover. And this is the book that they are doing for that one. They have a true crime one, and they also have just one they call a regular book club. That's just general fiction. So I ended up buying the book for that book club. I bought 3 books in there. This one is called Home for the Holidays by Taylor Hahn, and it's just general fiction. And I thought, you know what? It's a Christmassy book. We're in December. Let's go holiday style. And so I ended up buying a hard copy of the book, and I think I may try out their book club. It's like the first Sunday in December, and I may attempt this. I may go check it out. I'm really excited about it. And then while I was in there, a couple other really cool things. They have a whole section for local authors. I mean, they're very big on local authors. They have a whole section. They have signed copies. I have never heard of this author, but she lives in Northwest Indiana, and this is book 1 of the Love Ever After series. It's called Shadorous, and it's by Amber Lacie. Now, judging by the cover, this is probably going to be a little spicier than what I typically read with my romance books. I like spice, but I don't like super duper spicy. She has a whole slew of books in this bookstore, but there were about 15 romance, indie authors, romance authors that they had in their bookshelf, as well as like just local authors that do other things. And then while I was in there, I also saw I'm on a holiday theme in case you can't tell. I love me some Megan Quinn. And so I ended up buying myself How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Megan Quinn. I've been wanting to read this one for a while. She's a hefty one. So I'm kind of on a holiday theme, but it makes sense. I ended up spending like $70 in the store. But when I tell you that I am so impressed with the quality of this store, they had a whole section for local authors. They had a section on indie authors. That was just self-published authors that they're supporting in store. They had the obligatory book talk section, but not only just romance, they had general fiction, they had nonfiction. They have all kinds of really, for such a small bookstore, they actually had a really good collection. She did say that, like, for example, this book only had like 2 copies in store because it is such a small store that they don't carry very many copies of the book. But if you contact them, they will order it for you because they do replenish their stock, obviously. But it's such a small store, they just can't carry like large quantities of anything. The other thing is they have a rewards program, which is pretty straightforward. They keep track of who you are in their online system. For every $100 you spend in store, you get a $10 discount off of anything else that you buy. So I'm already at like $70. If I buy a couple more books, I get like $10 off of my total, which, depending on what book you're buying, could be like a half price book. So I'm excited. This was definitely by far my favorite. You can notice the smile on my face because, look, I love supporting, I love half price books. I love Barnes & Noble. I love all the other bookstores that are out there, but I love supporting the indie bookstores where it is just a family owned, individually owned, business where you're putting money directly in someone's pocket for them to like take care of their family and raise their kids on or whatever. Sometimes, you know, we spend so much time trying to get a deal on things that we forget that these stores are important and that if we're not supporting them, we're going to lose them. So anyways, 3 stores. You know what? I liked all 3 of them. They were good in their own way, right? The first one was good if you're just wanting to like go through old books and see if you can get any cheap deals on something you just haven't read before. The one that I went to in Chesterton was great if you're wanting like specialty or rare copies. And this one was more like if you want to interact with other readers and if you want more recent releases. So they all have their good qualities. It just depends on what you're looking for in books. I hope you enjoyed my tour of Northwest Indiana small bookstores. And I'm sure there are many, many more. I may do a part 2 because I'm in Porter County and there's a ton in Lake County. So I'd love to hit the ones in Lake County. But as of right now, I've hit the ones in Porter County. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked my video, give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe, all the things. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.